Hi everyone, it's Kim with The Medium That Rocks. I wanted to pop on today and I'm hoping this will go quick. This weekend I made a tarot journal. It's not really fancy, but it does the job. This is what I wanted. So what I've done is I have a layout here to interview decks, and I started interviewing my decks. The layout I got from watching Katey Flowers' video, so I wrote that down for myself, and then I started pulling out some decks to give them proper interviews. I really like what she says in the video, and I will try to attach it if I remember. Which was, she seems, once she started interviewing her decks, it seemed like the polite thing to do. And it seemed like unless she gave her deck an interview, it was impolite to start working with it right away. I got that feeling. I get that. So I thought I better interview my decks before I work with them anymore, because I tend to get a lot of decks at the same time. I usually don't have one new one to work with, unfortunately, or I don't know how you want to look at it, but I usually get a few at a time, usually 3 for some reason. So I've been grouping them together, seeing how they work together aesthetically and otherwise, but I thought, let me start with this little exercise of interviewing. So if you would like to do this, I'm going to do this as a tag. The tag will be my deck interviews, okay? And you can do this however you want. I'm going to give you the questions and answer them as the deck. If you'd like to interview the same deck, because I have chosen some that I know are popular ones with others, that might be fun to see if our answers are similar. Because it is the same deck, or please just pick whatever deck you want. The rules are yours. So this is what I did. I did the Crow Tarot, the Wild Unknown, the Marshmallow Marseille, and the last one I'll cover is Spirit Keepers. And this is the VE Tarot, the latest edition. Okay, so I'm just going to read the questions and give you the answers. Number 1, what are you here to teach me? The Crow Tarot says, success and leadership. How do you see yourself? Blending long-term vision with angel communication. How do you see me? Self-confident but not complacent. How can I best work with you? Slowly and methodically. What are your strengths? I am intuitive and can see from the highest perspective. What are your weaknesses? Perfectionism. What is our potential outcome of our time working together? We will be victorious, but there will be some prices to pay. So, that sounds a little ominous in the end. There'll be some prices to pay, but I think that probably means that sometimes the truth can hurt a little bit. We all know we have work to do on ourselves. And when we have a voice that is a tough love kind of voice, it can hurt a little bit to hear the truth, but ultimately, sometimes that's exactly what we need. You know, we need someone to say, pay attention over here. You know, this is really what you should be doing if you want to move forward. And that's what it's all about. At least in my perspective, I want to keep moving forward. I want to be my highest potential. I feel that we're put here to live on the earth, in this earth walk, to be our best. whatever that may be. And all of us are different. So whatever your highest potential is, whatever you do, whatever makes you shine, once you discover it, and the hint is it's something you will be passionate about. Once you discover what you're passionate about and you follow that path, then that itself is a wonderful thing to know. I think a lot of us seek for a long time, what is it I'm supposed to be doing? But once you know, that's most of the battle. Then I think the rest is perfecting and then accepting. I always thought to perfect myself was the goal. And then I realized that we're not ever going to be perfect. You can master something, yes. I try to master everything I learn, but I also realize that I am a human. And so I have to be kind to myself when I don't get it right, because I will have many things in my life that I won't get right until I do, or until I don't. Maybe some things don't work for you because you're not supposed to. Anyway, I digress. The next one is the wild unknown. The wild unknown. What are you here to teach me? Dedication. How do you see yourself? I am a tool of destiny and fate. I give life purpose readings. How can I best work with you? Oh, I'm sorry. How do you see me? I see you forgiving and non-judgmental. How can I best work with you? By staying focused and strong-willed. What are your strengths? I'm charming and adventurous. What are your weaknesses? I can be emotionally removed and too analytical. What is your potential outcome for our time working together? This one really hit home to me. To move you from victimhood and ask why you are suspended, and then help you open your wings and fly. That was beautiful. So that's the wild unknown. The Marshmallow Marseille, I wanted to do this one because it's a Marseille deck, and I do love it. I think it's adorable, but it's new for me. Marseille is new. It's a new system. So I was curious what it would say. What are you here to teach me? Breakthrough and perseverance. Well, I see that, because that will be new for me, and I will have to persevere, and hopefully I'll be making breakthroughs. How do you see yourself? This was beautiful. Awaiting birth and a conduit between planes. I love that, because here I am picking up the deck pretty much for the first time, and it sees itself as awaiting birth, awaiting to be born and used. I loved that. How do you see me? This was good. It says going with the flow and sometimes moody. And I thought that was really cool, because that's the truth. I'm either very much, okay, whatever you have to say, I'll just take it in. Or I do sometimes approach the cards in a mood, and I really shouldn't do that. And I can get in a mood if I don't understand. When I get frustrated learning Marseille, I can get in a mood. So, how can I best work with you? Work through conflicts and blocks. So that's good. This is the kind of deck I will go to when I have questions about conflicts. Number 5, what are your strengths? To help you see from an opposite perspective. Okay? Your weaknesses? confusing and complex situations. So I think that this deck, the Marseille, the Marshmallow Marseille, needs straightforward questions. And it's going to help me see things from a different perspective. So I like that. And then overall, what is our potential outcome of our time working together? Harmony, happiness in your normalcy of life, and as being part of a collective. What that means to me is I think it's going to expand my Marseille understanding, and then in turn I will feel part of the Marseille community, not necessarily the YouTube Marseille community, but just I do feel like I'm a tarot reader. You know, I feel like other people that experience tarot, we definitely have something in common, because I'm a nerd when it comes to tarot. Well, I'm ready to become a Marseille nerd as well. So I think happiness and harmony and being part of a collective would be the goal. Learning Marseille that way. I'm going to add this one, the Oracle, the Radiant Sun. I'm not going to do all the questions, but I thought it was interesting. This was the only deck, and we know that this deck, you know, is all centered around astrology. So when I asked the same questions, it was very interesting, because the differences were this deck's work is mainly with 3D material concerns. So I found that very true, because astrologically, these are the things that we look at, where we know how the moon is affecting our moods. We know how when certain planets are in alignment, they affect us. So this is what this deck is going to be focusing on: work, material concerns, sees me as a counselor. So I also see interesting the way the deck's perspective is on me. They're going to give me the facts. I'm going to relay the facts to my clients. So kind of interesting. So this is a deck that really has told me it's here for practical material advice. And then I wanted to do an interview for the Spirit Keepers Tarot. I just received it and I'm really excited. I've shuffled it and I've reorganized it and I reorganized it again. I'm feeling the power in this deck. I just love it. I've slept with it by my bed. I've been looking at the medium white book. I am going to be receiving the coloring book and the workbook. So I am getting ready to dedicate some time to this deck. But I thought, how fun would it be to give it an interview before I really dive deep? So here is the interview with the Spirit Keepers Tarot. So let's ask the questions. We'll go right down. What are you here to teach me? To advance your professional work. I like that. That's really great. How do you see yourself? The awakening came up and it said, you turned me on. And I find that really cool because it reminds me of the same response I got from the Marseille, you know, awaiting birth. So the Spirit Keeper said the same thing. You know, you knocked on my door, you turned me on, you're ready to go. Okay, I'm sorry, I'm losing storage, I think, in my camera, so I'm doing the best I can here. But the Spirit Keeper, question number 3, how do you see me? Spirit Keeper sees me as the Queen of the Earth, with strength and knowledge, reserves, and says to me to look at my assets and capital. How can I best work with you? Listen to the whispers of the past for premonitions of the future. Well, that's very exciting, isn't it? I thought that was pretty neat. What are your strengths? Laborious tasks. So perhaps questions and complicated layouts that other decks just don't do, which I can see. There's so much that went into this deck. So many symbols. So much that went into this deck that I can see it being able to address a lot. I found this very interesting. What are your weaknesses? Okay. My weaknesses are banishing, spiritual cleansing, and personal shielding. I found that very interesting. And I doubt I'm going to get that answer from another deck. But it was a really good answer, because I think that the Spirit Keeper deck feels so sacred and powerful that you may think of it itself as like a piece of selenite. You may think of it itself as its own sacred object, that it will dispel negativity, but it doesn't. And that's what she's saying here, or the deck is saying. I still need to be cleansed. I don't like negative vibes. Don't have me around negative vibrations. Cleanse the space. I can alert you if there might be negative vibrations in the energy field, and then advise you to clear your space. So I thought that was very, very cool and deep. And it seemed very much like what this deck would say to me, because it's so different. And when I asked, what is our potential outcome for our time working together, the Spirit Keeper said, I am the catalyst for positive change, an epoch in your life path. So interesting, and I'm going to look at that some more. I also pulled the Initiate card. That was the significator for that particular deck, and I thought that was also appropriate, because that card is for when you initiate something new, and that's exactly what I'm doing. I initiated my first conversation with my deck. So I hope you enjoyed this. I thought this was fun. I'm going to continue to interview my decks. I think I'm even going to continue to do this with my oracles, but I'm going to do the tarots first.